Yeah, I think that there's a lot churning right now with regard to, like in my state of Arizona, there's large farms coming in from out, not just out of state, but out of country. And they're buying land. This is all legal, buying huge plots of land, many square miles, really pumping the bottom out of the aquifer. In Arizona, when you're within certain areas called active management areas, there's lots of rules and constraints, and they're proper, and they've been around for decades. But outside of those areas, there's not very many rules, and if you own the land, you can pump the groundwater, and they're basically pumping these aquifers dry. And it's really enraging to a lot of the local people, because they know that they're doing it to provide hay, in foreign countries. Well, the reality is what's termed virtual water is exported all the time, but usually just not internationally. And by virtual water, that's a broad term. Can't pump water out of the state, but you can grow crops, you can mine metals, which requires water, you can generate electricity, which requires water, and export all those things. So it happens all the time, and that's fine, but the management of the resource is what's not done. Now that's a legislative problem, not a court problem, but both those entities are trying to address it. Well, both those entities kind of move slow. So as the experts in this field, as the professionals of the groundwater industry, we can't go out and force anybody to do anything, but we can advise, we can give, good recommendations, because pumping the bottom out of an aquifer, and when I say that, I mean, tens of feet, sometimes hundreds of feet of water level drawdown. That means that you can have land subsidence. It's occurred in the past, it's continuing today in many states, including Arizona. That's damaging, and that's permanent damage. That means the aquifer actually lost its storage capability, and that won't return. Water quality changes. As you drop the water level, there's the different stratification of water quality, and that'll shift down. So properly designed wells are now improperly designed and might pump poor quality water. That's not going to change. That's not going to improve. And really just the cost to lift that water becomes greater, and you're just pumping away the resource. And I'm talking about an arid state of Arizona, but not only Arizona, many of states in the Southwest, in the West, even in the Midwest. I know that in the Oglala Aquifer, I hear from people that there's a lot of water level drawdown, and it's got all these associated problems. Well, we need to use groundwater, but we need to manage it. We need to understand what the system is, and that's not so hard. There's a lot of information that's so sound recommendations can be put in place, and they can turn into good resource management. But this pulls us back just once again, because we just can't get away from it, our need to communicate what we know to the decision makers, the legislators, the general public, et cetera. And I think as young people are coming up, they need to know how to have that voice, how to be those professionals. And it's not wait a couple of decades and then begin to communicate with people. Start day one and understand these issues and understand the relevance. I don't think it's best to take a person just out of college and say, go do this pumping test and don't worry about what it's for. Just give me the numbers. That's a disservice to them and to the whole program, because if they understand what they're doing it for and the relevance of it and the importance of it, they'll be talking to their family and friends about it. Then they'll understand more. They'll have insight later on in time when they're more advanced and they're running their own program and doing their own pumping tests. They'll be able to draw on that experience, and it'll be a greater depth of understanding of really the groundwater system. So between drillers and hydrogeologists, regulators, policy people, all of us, they're all pieces of the same puzzle. And I think it's important for us to all pull those together and then communicate them to the general public, really for all our sakes and for future generations.